I got a comment today in this video's comment section where we were talking about which food is best to feed large armies. Well, he started mentioning that. In this replay, I only produced sausages to feed the town because the goal was just to spam 53 bowmen and 53 pikemen in the first 60 minutes of the Shattered Kingdom Mission 14. But the commenter was saying that he finds that vineyards are most feasible because you don't have to build a chain. And I guess he didn't say, but I guess it's more compact building too. And I assume that this is feeding large armies over long periods of time. While it only takes around 7 minutes for the grapes to be ripe versus around 10 minutes or so for the corn to be ready to be harvested. And therefore you'll have a bigger yield at the beginning with vineyards. A vineyard is going to produce a wine barrel every 46 seconds or so. It's about the same speed as a coal mine, just a little slower on average. A bakery is going to produce 2 loaves of bread about every 41 seconds. It's a little bit more, but on average, that's basically what it's going to be. So, in other words, a baker is going to produce double what one vineyard will in less time. And the food that it produces is more valuable to the villagers, as we all know. So here I have 2 vineyards to try to match up with one farm. And I ran the simulation, and I have the replay attached in the video description. It's called New Mission. And then in New Mission, at 41 minutes, they tied the number of food in the storehouse. So basically these storehouses here, as you'll see, I just have sausage. And I have the same number of citizens, including the bakers. Each player has 6 villagers to feed. And during these time intervals, which I made every 19 minutes, if someone wants to make a linear plot, and you can verify this for yourself when you watch the replays. These replays are in 6720. But at 41 minutes, they tie. So in other words, the same amount of bread is in this storehouse as the number of wine barrels in this storehouse. And then so from that point, I go every 19 minutes. And what this is saying is that it's 10.7% more food in the left storehouse, which has the bread, than the right storehouse, which has the wine barrels. So from this point, the number of bread is going to increase past the wine barrels forever. Now I have another map in the video description called New Mission 2. Now that's taking into account farm efficiency. I'm going to be making a video on farm efficiency. Hopefully before the year ends, I'll try to have something up. If not, beginning of next year sometime for sure. A very detailed video about it, but this is one of the most efficient farms. There's 2 others that are equal efficiency, but all 3 of them have the most efficiency of any single farm. And a more efficient farm means more bread in this case. But just briefly going back to this one, these are, I would say, maybe not the most compact. Maybe someone can build it a little bit better, but this is very compact. If we count the number of squares that the farm and the mill and the bakery occupy, and these 2 vineyards, what they occupy, we can see that the farm side is 8 tiles wide and 7 tiles high. The vineyards are 7 wide and 6 high, so the vineyards is 1 tile smaller in both directions. But we can see that over time, not only is the food from the left side with the farm more, it's more valuable food too for the villagers. And again, keep in mind that I had the same number of villagers that need to be fed. Both storehouses started with 1,000, which doesn't matter, but it's a lot of sausages, so that it could be a fair comparison between the 2. And I have 2 different players so that the serfs wouldn't go from one side to the other. They would stay on one side and be fed in one inn by one food type. With New Mission 2, I kept the vineyards the same, and each vineyard needs to have 9 fields. That's well known by a lot of people, so I do have 9 total for each, so 18 total. But this is now 10 tiles wide, but still remains 7 tiles high. But you can remove this one and make it tiny bit less efficient and put it like right there. That would be the best place to put it. So that would be 1 tile less wide, but I'm just going to keep it this way to do a comparison, just in theory what the maximum should produce roughly, because every trial is different, and this was only 1 trial. But for New Mission 2, at 25 minutes they tie. So the efficiency of the farm really helps them to tie much earlier, which is surprising. I was kind of surprised by that, but then you can see the percentage more bread or the number of food on the left is than the right. Now to make it fair, if I wanted to consider the most efficient vineyards, I haven't done too much study on most efficient vineyards, but I just did a little bit of analysis and I came up with this. And this is the most compact way to have two vineyards. They have to be a little bit apart in order to maintain their efficiency. And I'll be talking about this in the farm efficiency video, that the farms need to be a certain distance apart. And I have a tool that I'm going to be presenting which makes it easy to help you to build them in different ways that they won't conflict with each other that much. But the basic idea with farm efficiency or with this is the placement of the fields, how many fields there are, and the farm, or in this case the locations of the vineyards relative to each other, their distances apart and things like that. But now this is 11 tiles wide, so it's 1 tile wider than the farm one is. But it's 1 tile shorter in height, so now it's only 5 tiles high than the original. But I didn't change anything here. And now with this comparison, for new mission 3, at 30 minutes they tie, so it's going to be a little bit longer because the vineyards are more efficient now, so naturally, and then we get these numbers that they're all a little bit lower. Now just to conclude this short video, I want to also say that at 3.5 hours, if we look at the amount of bread that's in the left storehouse and the amount of wine barrels that's in the right storehouse at 3.5 hours, this is new mission where both the farm and the vineyards were inefficient. This is what was in the storehouses there, and this is when they are both most efficient. So we can see that the percent more of each. So it's not a whole lot more, but the longer the game is, it's obviously going to be more. So yes, it would require some more building space to be more productive, but with any of the 3 trials, you can see that with this one, with new mission, where neither one was the most efficient, but the farm and the mill and bakery is only 1 tile more in height and in width than the vineyards. And I didn't mention this before, but it obviously takes 12 timber to build these 3 buildings. But how many timber does it take to make this? And with multiplayer, it's obvious that you don't want to lose all your timber. If you're playing single player, or I guess co-op too, co-op is a little bit more serious, but that's 18 timber just for the fields, plus the 8, that's 26 timber instead of 12. 1 more villager is required, but yeah, that's just something to weigh in. Yeah, I understand that if you have no room and you want to stick a vineyard anywhere and you can put his fields by a mountain or whatever, it's definitely feasible if you're starving from armies. But of course, make an extra storehouse next to the vineyard or vineyards and put it next to your troops. That way, your villagers are more likely going to feed the troops the wine barrels and keep whatever other food like sausages that you're feeding your villagers to your villagers. At least that's based on my experience. But anyway, thanks for watching and have a nice day.